There are certain days that do not just pass, they arrive. And if you are sensitive, if you are present, you can feel the shift in the air. You can feel a sense of urgency that is not from fear, but from awakening. You begin to realize that not every day is the same. That there are some days which call to you. They stand before you not as ordinary time, but as a doorway. June 29, 2025 is one of those days. Not because it is the end of the month, not because it is placed neatly before the beginning of July, but because it is your last opportunity this month to realign your path, to cleanse your inner world, to awaken the sleeping parts of your spirit that you have neglected for far too long. It is not a date, it is a door, and the door is only open to those who recognize it. For too many people, life has become a repetition of distractions. They do not see days as sacred, they see them as units to be filled. Wake up, scroll, work, consume, sleep, repeat. But deep down, there is a whisper that never leaves them. It speaks in stillness, it speaks in tired moments. It speaks in that moment before sleep, when the world is quiet and only you are left with yourself. It says, "This is not the life you were meant to live." And you know it, but you ignore it. Because it is easier to continue, it is easier to do what everyone else is doing, it is easier to numb the soul than it is to awaken it, because awakening requires effort. It requires honesty. It requires you to stop blaming and begin owning. But some days are not like the others. Some days ask you to wake up and rise. June 29 is one of them, the final gate of the month, a reminder from life that says, if not now, then when? Too often we wait for dramatic signs. We expect lightning in the sky or some miracle to shake us into transformation. But the truth is, life already gives you signs, and the wise recognize them in silence. This day is such a sign. It says you are being offered one more chance this month to start again. One more chance to put away the noise, the complaining, the bitterness, the laziness, and return to the one place where your true strength waits, inside you. This day does not demand perfection from you. It does not expect that you have everything figured out. It only asks that you be honest. Are you where you want to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Have you been aligned with the path you promised yourself you would walk at the start of this year? Or have you strayed? Have you allowed excuses to enter your temple? Have you welcomed the easy path and ignored the warrior within? The spirit does not awaken by accident. It does not come alive because of external success or social approval. It awakens when you return to discipline. It awakens when you choose silence over chaos, when you choose restraint over reaction, when you choose clarity over comfort. The world will not teach you this. The world will tell you to chase more, to consume more, to post more, to be louder. But the path of the awakened one is not about becoming loud. It is about becoming clear, and clarity does not shout. It whispers. This is why most people miss it. They are waiting for a trumpet, but life gives them a bell, soft but constant, and it rings today. If this day is a door, you must ask yourself, will you walk through it, or will you once again let the moment pass, promising yourself that you will begin tomorrow, forgetting that tomorrow is a lie you keep telling yourself to avoid the pain of facing your own potential. Nothing is more painful than seeing your strength buried under your own excuses, and nothing is more beautiful than watching someone reclaim it. You don't need to make the perfect move today. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You only need to prove one thing to yourself, that you still remember who you are, not who society has conditioned you to be, not who your fears tell you to be, not who your past failures try to define you as, but who you truly are. A being of focus, silence, energy, and spirit. One who was born not to drift, but to direct. Not to consume, but to create. Not to follow, but to realize. Realization is not loud. It is not some theatrical performance. It is subtle. A shift in posture, a different breath, a decision not to react today, a decision to wake up earlier, a decision to sit in silence before speaking, a decision to respond with grace instead of ego, a decision to train the body so the mind becomes sharp. These are the sacred rituals of the awakened, and today is the day to return to them. You may think it is too late in the month, You may think you have already failed this month's goals. But the Spirit does not measure time the way the world does. The Spirit only asks, are you willing to begin? Because when you begin with truth, all things are possible again. The momentum you build on June 29 can shape all of July. The energy you restore in yourself today can become the fire that burns through your laziness and your doubts tomorrow. This day is not about perfection, it is about alignment, and alignment always starts with awareness. Pause today, not because you are weak, pause because you are powerful enough to choose silence. Reflect not with judgment but with clarity. Ask yourself, where have I been dishonest with myself this month? Where have I been passive when I should have been disciplined? Where have I chosen comfort over purpose? Do not answer with shame, answer with humility. This is the beginning of strength, not when you pretend to be perfect, but when you admit where you are and still choose to walk forward. No one can walk through this door for you. No mentor, no family member, no partner. This is your gate. This is your moment. This is your mirror. And it does not ask for applause, it asks for presence. A deep and sincere return to who you were before the world distracted you. You are not lost, you are simply disconnected. But reconnection is always possible, especially on days like today, especially when life gives you a final nudge and says, this is the last moment of the month to rise. Will you stay asleep? Let others do what they will. Let the world continue in noise. Let the distractions continue to call out. You are not here to follow that path anymore. You are here to remember your own. And it begins not with a dramatic change, but with one honest choice. Make it today, June 29, before the gate closes again, before another cycle passes, before you forget once more what you truly are capable of. This is not about fear. This is not about pressure, this is about power. The power of a single decision, the power of presence, the power of remembering what is real and letting go of what is not. This day is a door. Step through it, not to escape the world, but to return to the deepest part of yourself. The Spirit is waiting. It always has been. One of the most dangerous illusions we entertain in life is the belief that there will always be a better time, a better day, a more peaceful season, a more convenient moment to begin what we know in our heart must be done. We wait for things to become easier, for motivation to find us, for the wind to push us forward instead of against us. We wait for perfect alignment of circumstances, as if awakening is something external that we stumble upon, like a lost treasure. But the truth is much simpler and far more challenging. The sacred moment does not come to you. You must recognize it. It's not about waiting, it's about seeing. If you believe that June 29 is just another day, then it will pass you by without impact. If you believe that this final day of the month is simply another 24 hours to endure, then it will come and go, and nothing in you will change. But for the one who is watchful, for the one who is willing to look beyond the ordinary and listen for the quiet invitation of life, June 29 becomes more than just a square on a calendar. It becomes an altar, a test, a doorway to your next level. It becomes the day that dares to ask you, are you serious this time? The mistake many make is believing that the universe will wait for them, that the inner call they feel today will still be there unchanged tomorrow. But that is not how the Spirit works. The Spirit moves like wind across the top of a mountain, subtle, powerful, and never in one place for too long. When you sense that movement, when you feel the nudge in your chest, the quickening of your breath, the sudden realization that you've been drifting too long, it is not something to think about, it is something to act upon. And the longer you wait, the more distant that moment becomes, until one day you realize you are no longer being called, you are simply existing. Perfection is the great deceiver. It tells you to delay your journey until everything is calm, until the mind is clear, until you are certain, until others approve. But the path of awakening does not demand perfection, it demands sincerity. It demands the willingness to act when the world inside you is still uncertain, when the emotions are still wild, when the path ahead is still unclear. Clarity comes from walking into the unknown. And you do not wait for confidence to act. Confidence is a reward for those who take action despite doubt. Think of the great mountains, how they were climbed, not because the conditions were perfect, but because someone decided that the time to begin was now. Think of the great masters. Not one of them began with the certainty of outcome. They began with a single quiet decision to honor the moment, no matter how small it looked to others. They did not wait for lightning to strike. They listened to the stillness and they stepped forward. This is your stillness. This is your moment. June 29, 2025 is not calling for the strongest version of you. It is calling for the most honest version. The version that finally stops pretending, finally stops deflecting, finally stops waiting for something outside to change. The awakened life is not the result of external alignment. It is born when you say, enough, today I begin. What does that beginning look like? For some, it is a return to the basics, sitting in silence before sunrise, breathing with intention, bowing the head in stillness. For others, it is putting down the distractions, ending the toxic conversation, resisting the temptation to be pulled back into a version of yourself you've outgrown. It may be painful, it may be uncomfortable, but it is honest, and that honesty is sacred. The spirit does not respond to loud declarations. It responds to alignment, and alignment happens in the smallest movements. The choice to rise early, the choice to walk instead of scroll, the choice to speak calmly when anger bubbles, the choice to feel pain without needing to hide from it. These are not grand gestures, but they are the seeds of awakening, and the one who plants them today, especially on this final day of June, sets into motion a transformation that others will not see coming. You must stop looking for signs in the sky and begin listening for the whispers inside. If you feel resistance today, that is not a reason to delay. It is a sign that this day holds something important for you. The mind resists when the soul is about to shift. That inner tension, that discomfort, that inner restlessness you feel, it is not the sign to postpone. It is the sign to press forward. The resistance is the proof that you are close to something real. We have been trained by this world to believe that action must follow motivation. But motivation is fickle. It comes and goes like clouds. What endures is discipline. What transforms is consistency. What awakens the spirit is not a single moment of inspiration, but the daily return to a path that demands your full attention. And if you keep waiting for the right mood to align with the right day, you will spend your life in limbo, surrounded by potential you never realized. The awakened one does not wait for the road to be free of obstacles. He simply begins walking. He understands that each day, especially the final day of a cycle like this, carries immense power, if it is honored. This is not superstition, this is understanding rhythm. Just as nature moves in seasons, so too do we. There are cycles of forgetting, and there are cycles of remembering. June 29 is the final point in this month's cycle. It is not just a date, it is the final beat in the drum of this month's rhythm, and it asks, will you end this month awake or asleep? Every sacred path is filled with those who woke up in ordinary moments. There was nothing spectacular about the day. There was no sign in the sky. There was simply a decision. The kind of decision that is made in silence with no audience. And that one decision changed everything. Today is one of those days. Do not be fooled by its appearance. Do not be deceived by its simplicity. For the one who sees clearly, today is a gateway. Do not ask life to change before you begin to change. Do not ask the conditions to soften before you return to discipline. Begin now. Begin before you feel ready. Begin when the doubt is still present. Begin while the fear is still speaking, because the act of beginning is what silences those voices. The act of beginning is what gives birth to strength. It is not the absence of fear that makes a warrior. It is the choice to move forward even when fear is loud. Today, June 29th, is your final opportunity this month to honor your path, to realign, to say yes to the quiet voice that has been trying to reach you through all the noise. And when you act upon that voice, even in the smallest way, you show the universe, and more importantly, you show yourself, that you are no longer waiting, you are living. You are no longer drifting, you are deciding. Perfection will always be a lie, but presence is the truth. And presence begins not in the future, but in this exact breath. You have everything you need to start. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but now. June 29 is not about what you have achieved. It is about what you are willing to do now to honor the path that your soul has been asking you to walk. The sacred moment has never been a matter of timing. It has always been a matter of truth. You already know what you need to do. And this is your last chance this month to do it. Shall I expand the third keynote next? There is something deeply humbling about a deadline that is not given by man, but by the flow of life itself. June 29 is not just a date that marks the end of a month. It is a spiritual threshold, a final whisper from the passing cycle, calling you to awaken before the door closes. Many live unaware that time is not just something to be managed, but something to be honored. And those who are blind to this truth become trapped in cycles that repeat, not because they must, but because the individual fails to break them. A month is not simply a measure of time, it is a spiritual container, and when that container nears its close, like it does on this day, the final flame of its wisdom shines brighter, but only those who are still, who are listening, will see it, and fewer still will act on it. If you walk through life always chasing what's next, you will miss the sacred invitation that comes with what is now. You are not being rushed, you are being invited. The Spirit does not pressure, it summons. And this day is one of those summons. It is asking you to take one honest look at your inner temple and ask, what did I build this month? What did I destroy? What seeds of discipline were planted? And which weeds of distraction were allowed to grow unchecked? It is not about guilt, it is not about shame, it is about alignment. Because just like a great garden, the soul must be tended regularly, and time gives you checkpoints, opportunities to review the field and return it to order. We do not awaken simply because we read or learn. We awaken because we pause, because we observe, because we choose to no longer move blindly. The last days of a month carry the energy of closure, but closure is not the same as ending. An ending is passive, but closure is active. It is conscious, it is sacred. Closure is when you say, I am ready to stop dragging the same old energy into my future. I am ready to learn from what has passed, but I will not carry its weight. And that is what this day is for. It is not about wrapping up the month with results, it is about wrapping it up with clarity. Clarity is one of the greatest gifts a spiritual warrior can possess. Because when you are clear, even your smallest step is powerful. But when you are clouded, even your greatest effort leads nowhere. June 29 is an offering from life, a moment to look back with honesty and look forward with intention. It is not a checkpoint for the world. No one outside of you will notice, but your soul will. And your soul is the only witness that truly matters. Many people will resist this kind of self-reflection, not because it is difficult, but because it strips away the illusion that time is infinite. They would rather believe they have unlimited chances, that they can put off their inner work until next week, next month, next year. But truth does not wait, and neither does life. Every cycle that passes without awareness becomes a lost opportunity, not for success, but for mastery. And mastery is what you are here for. Not to simply survive, not to repeat what you've always done, but to refine yourself like steel in fire, and to rise cleaner, clearer, stronger. The danger is not that you will fail, the danger is that you will drift, that you will move without direction, that you will become numb to the power of your own choices. And so days like June 29 must be treated as sacred, because they offer you a rare window, a chance to realign your path before another cycle begins. Do not wait until you are exhausted by your own habits. Do not wait until your excuses become your identity. Stop now, reflect now, realign now. Even one day lived in truth is more valuable than 100 lived unconsciously. The spirit becomes strong not through rituals alone, but through rhythm, and each month offers a rhythm. A beginning, a building, a breaking, and a closing. You must feel this rhythm if you wish to master your inner world. Just like a martial artist does not throw random punches, but moves with the breath, with the timing, with the rhythm of life, so too must you live. Today is not for noise. It is for breath, of quiet strength, for taking account, not from the mind of a critic, but from the heart of a warrior. You ask, where did I lose myself this month? Where did I find myself again? What did I say I would do, but didn't? What distractions pulled me away from my essence? Who did I become when no one was watching? These questions are not for judgment, they are for liberation, because in truth, the one who reflects with honesty frees himself, while the one who avoids reflection remains imprisoned by his own patterns. The door does not open for those who ignore the pattern, the door opens for those who pause, who breathe, who bow before the truth and choose to walk through it. No one else can do this for you. No one else can awaken your spirit. This is your temple. This is your mirror. This is your rhythm to rediscover. You do not need a perfect track record. You do not need approval. You do not need the world to understand your pace. You only need to return. Even if you have spent 28 days distracted, asleep, bitter, angry, this one day can change the direction of the next 30. That is the power of sacred closure. The final day of a month holds more spiritual weight than most realize. It contains not just reflection, but transformation. If you are willing, if you are humble, if you are ready, read the signs of your own soul. You are not being condemned. You are being called, not to do more, but to return. Return to your breath, return to your discipline, return to your values, return to your rituals. Return to the strength you had before the noise of the world distracted you. The outer world will not slow down, but you can, you must, otherwise you will become one more soul, lost to the storm of unconscious motion. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is wisdom. And June 29 is a day to be still. Not stagnant, but still. To slow the body so the mind may see clearly. To quiet the mouth so the spirit may speak. You have crossed almost the entire month. Do not let this last chance be wasted. Take this final breath of June and use it to exhale everything you no longer need. Breathe in your truth, breathe out the noise. Realignment is always possible, and there is no better moment than now. You are not behind, you are not too late, but if you do not act, you will be, not in the eyes of the world, but in the promise you once made to your own soul. The promise that you would rise, the promise that you would not drift anymore, the promise that you would treat your life as sacred. This is that promise being tested, not by force, but by timing. Timing is the quiet master of transformation, and today it stands before you, waiting to see if you will listen. Shall I expand the fourth keynote as well? There is a truth that many ignore until it's too late. Your spirit will not awaken without your participation. The transformation you seek does not descend upon you like a gift from the heavens. It must be invited. And it is invited through decision, through action, through the unwavering commitment to show up, especially when it is easier not to. June 29 stands as a spiritual checkpoint, not to judge you, but to remind you that every month is a cycle, and every cycle must be completed with awareness if it is to evolve into something greater. Most people live in circles they don't know how to break, not because they lack strength, but because they lack conscious closure. They never pause long enough to complete the spiritual lessons that each month carries. And so they begin the next one with the same confusion, the same weight, the same unresolved pain. You do not need to carry the same burdens into July. You do not need to begin another cycle with your soul half asleep. But for that to happen, this moment must be honored. June 29 is not offering a miracle. It is offering responsibility. It is offering the quiet power of completion. You cannot move forward if you are still tangled in what you refuse to release. You cannot awaken if you are still negotiating with the part of yourself that resists change. At some point, the spiritual path requires a line in the sand, a final breath, a sacred declaration. No more. No more delay. No more compromise with fear. No more half effort. This is that moment. All paths converge at a point of choice. And this point is never loud. It is subtle, gentle, like this day. No grand event, no ceremony, just an opportunity. But the ones who are truly walking the path of mastery do not wait for fire from the sky, they respond to the soft whisper of timing. And this day, this last day of June's cycle, carries a whisper that few will hear. The whisper says, begin again, but do it with intention this time. You may think that awakening is a single event, that one day it will hit you and everything will make sense. But awakening is a process. And that process is powered by consistent, conscious decisions, small, daily alignments, quiet closures, and the refusal to let yourself remain in spiritual slumber. No matter how many times you've fallen, no matter how long you've been distracted, this moment still invites you. The invitation is always present, but your response determines everything. The difference between the awakened and the asleep is not talent, it is attention. The awakened one pays attention to timing, to energy, to the subtle shifts within and around them. And when a day like June 29 arrives, they know it is not just another day. It is the turning of a key. If you look at your life right now, you will see signs, places where you've compromised your values, moments where you chose comfort over growth, areas where the fire has dimmed. This day is not asking you to be perfect, it is asking you to be honest, because without honesty there can be no awakening, and without awakening, life becomes a series of repeated distractions, temporary escapes from a truth we are too afraid to face. But fear cannot exist where awareness lives. The light of awareness burns through confusion, through hesitation, through illusion. And June 29 is a day of light, if you dare to look within. The world outside you will not pause, it will not acknowledge your shift, it will not validate your choice, but your soul will. And the inner shift is always more powerful than any external validation. You could change everything by simply deciding right now that this month will not end with your head bowed in regret, that this month will not end in spiritual autopilot, that this month will not leave you the same. You could change everything by committing in silence that the patterns end here. But understand this, the moment you decide to awaken, everything within you that is not aligned with your awakening will rise in resistance. Doubt, fatigue, old habits, familiar distractions, they will all come. Not because you are weak, but because you are close. Resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that something real is happening. Most give up when resistance arises. The awakened one bows to it, breathes through it, and walks on. Today, as this month prepares to close its final page, the question is not whether you feel resistance. The question is whether you are willing to walk through it. The Shaolin teachings are not about avoiding pain. They are about walking with it until it loses its power. They are not about escaping discomfort. They are about standing still long enough to understand what the discomfort is trying to teach. Every distraction, every broken promise to yourself, every excuse you've made this month, they are not your enemies. They are your mirrors, and mirrors are sacred because they allow you to see what you otherwise could not. But mirrors only serve their purpose when we dare to look. And this day, June 29, is the clearest mirror you will find. Will you look? Look not with shame but with curiosity, with strength, with discipline. See where your energy was scattered, see where your focus was lost, see where your values were tested, and then, without blame or delay, return. Return to the practices that ground you, return to the breath that centers you, return to the path that calls you. The journey is not about being fearless, it is about being committed in the presence of fear. And commitment means showing up when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Especially when it's inconvenient. Especially when no one else sees you doing it. Your spiritual awakening is not a public event, it is a private decision, a quiet revolution, a sacred rebellion against the part of you that would rather sleep than rise. And every time you say yes to that inner voice, no matter how quietly, you strengthen it. You teach your soul that it can trust you. You build a foundation of integrity that will carry you through future storms. There is no perfect timing for this, but there are powerful moments, and today is one of them. You don't need to see the whole path. You don't need to understand every step. You just need to honor the moment, and the moment is this: the final full day of a month that will never return. One last opportunity to bring closure with awareness. One last breath, before the next cycle begins. One final chance to return to the path that deep down you know you are meant to walk. This is your work, this is your responsibility, this is your moment. Let me know if you'd like this entire 4-part speech formatted into one document or video script next.